Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jackie Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast, your insider's guide to backyard ultras, last runner standing races, timed events, and the mindset of going one more. Today's guest is Audrey Carter, a trail runner, ultra runner, mom, and someone who isn't really afraid to chase these hard things that we're doing out here. If you've spent any time in the trail running community, I know I have a lot of people who listen from the East Coast. You may know her on Instagram as the East Tennessee Mother Runner, where she shares the highs, the lows, the realities of balancing family life with the love of running, with some incredibly challenging races. So I'm really excited to dive into Mid-State Mile, an event that seems simple on paper, but holds up, I think, for its name of the Murder Mile. There's a live feed. It was incredible. There's just a huge performance out there this year, and it just feels like it's been growing year after year after year. So I'm excited to have everyone just learn more about it from Audrey. So thank you so much, Audrey. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm probably kind of an unexpected guest on your podcast, just being new to the Last Man Standing, but happy to be here.
Yeah, I think it's valuable to have insight from people who have not done a backyard ultra or a last person standing race, because there are so many things that those who have ran many of them kind of forget about. And it gives everyone just different points of view and perspectives and things to think about. So I'm really excited for your insight. So before we talk about the race itself, can you give our listeners just an overview of yourself? Like, who is Audrey?
Wear many hats. I'm on the go constantly. So by day, I'm a graphic designer. So I work in marketing, communications, and just got a new job recently. So I'm like 2 months in and got a 3-hour commute every day now. Going from remote to commuting like a trucker, I guess. So that's been a big adjustment, training wise and schedule wise. So I'm trying to add more hours in my day. I have a little boy. He's almost 5. He's wild. He loves coming to my races. You'll see him. He used to have a mullet. So he was very well known at races for a while. And yeah. So I've been running for probably since high school. I was a soccer player, volleyball player, and stay off the bench. I figured, well, I can beat all the other girls in midfield if I was in shape. So
yes.
I started running, doing that, and fell in love with it, and continued on through college, and got into the road marathons, and just started trail running when COVID hit. So.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you have a couple dozen races on Ultra Sign Up. So when was your first Ultra, and what was your thought of that first Ultra?
Yeah, I moved down to Tennessee. I'm originally from Michigan,
Okay.
so I moved down to Tennessee in 2019. And my first Ultra was the Norris Dam Hard 50K. It was in 2020, I think. All my road races were canceled, and I was just like, I have got to have that race. I think I was supposed to do Boston Marathon that year, and I canceled finally after the third time. And I'm trained, let me find something. And all I could find was this 50K. And I knew very little about the Tennessee kind of I knew the Smokies, I live near the Smokies area. But I didn't know the terrain kind of going more towards Middle Tennessee, and they call it damn hard for a reason. I found out. Showed up in my road shoes. I might have had a water bottle, and did not know what to expect. There was a ton of vert. It was a 2-loop course, and it kicked my butt. I think I still managed first female.
Amazing.
But yeah, I remember coming in after my first lap, and I was like, there's no way. I was crying. I was like, I can't do this again. But I did it, and I kind of went back for more. I'm like, that was kind of fun. Let's do it again. And see if I can do
Yeah.
better. So, but kind of
Have
like
you
felt natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love that just kind of thought of, okay, this is your first 50K. I know I can do better. And like, what am I going to do to improve next time? Because, it's your first and there's so many different things that can happen during your first. So what are you going to do to work on that inside the race, but then also in training?
Yeah. But as a marathon runner, I'm like, okay, I can do another like 6 miles. Like it's no big
Yes.
deal. Well, those 6 miles are very long. Like
Yeah.
they're completely different 6 miles.
Yes, absolutely. What has been your kind of favorite part about ultra running over the past 6, 7 years?
I would say like, well, the biggest thing is like the community. Road racing is very different from trail racing, is what I've found, and those ultras are more trail related, I would say, and there's just like such a more family feel to it. There's just very close knit, like everyone's rooting for you. Road racing is very kind of cutthroat a little bit. Like if you see someone on the side, like, oh, you got it, but you just
Yeah.
blow by them, like you don't really care, like you just, but it's very much more relaxed, more fun. You just have like a fun party time. Like I remember seeing like, Fireball and like all these other, fun things. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different vibe and it's fun.
Yeah, it is. So you've ran ultras over the last 6, 7 years. 2026, you run Mid-State Mile. Like, what piqued your interest about the race? What made you sign up?
It was something different. Every once in a while, like I kind of get bored. I try not to do the same races over and over again, but I always like either I have redemption or something, like I go back for more. But I like to try to do, one or two different races that kind of scare me every year, and try to broaden my horizons. Like, okay, I think I can do that. But Mid-State Mile kind of like intrigued me because there's a lot of team members of East Coast Adventures running team, and
Yeah.
there's quite a few that have like gone back every year, and they're like, you got to do it. Like it's, there's something special about this race. And so I'm like, well, that piqued my interest. And then the fact that, that it's called the Murder Mile, like that just calls to me because I love a challenge. Like I love challenging myself. And so I was like, well, that might do it. Like, so I signed up, I asked my coach, I'm like, please do this. She's like, I guess, like, I've never like done the last man standing. Like I've been interested the last couple of years. Like it's kind of gone on my radar, but I tend to be like a faster runner. I tend to lean more towards speed than I do, hiking and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I'll just give it a try. So I signed up.
Yeah.
It kind of scared me. I was sweating when I signed up, but yeah, I was happy to be on the roster for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the specifics of the race because a lot of people have heard of it. Some people have not, especially like if people listening to the podcast are more focused on the backyard format itself. So Mid-State Mile is a last person standing race, but it's not a backyard, right? Because it's not the 4.167 miles. It's a 1.1 mile course. The live feed was amazing this year, and it was so much fun to see the different camera angles, and they were switching between based on where the runners were. But for those who have not seen the live feed, for those who have not been on the course, tell us what the course is like.
I actually loved the course. I remember walking it. It's 340 feet of vert every loop, so you start racking up the vert very quickly. But it's actually it's laid out very, very fun and nice for your legs, I would say. So you got basically two big hills. You have one massive, very steep hill. What I loved about this course was like in between those two hills, you have kind of like a flat, very nice kind of area to kind of stretch your legs, get that lactic acid out a little bit, and like you felt like, oh hey, I'm actually running this race a little bit, you're not just like straight up. So in between, you had those little like breaks, I would say, in between those two hills. The second hill is a little less steep. You're just kind of like, gradually hiking up that, but yeah, it's actually a really nice course. They keep it very well maintained, and I enjoyed it more than I probably should have. Like I don't know what I was expecting. I knew I was going to go straight up at some point, but I actually loved it. It was really nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So 340 feet of gain in 1.1 miles. You have 20 minutes to complete that distance. What are the other rules in terms of headphones, poles, crew? Like, what are the rules for the race?
No headphones, no live streaming yourself, like no phones, no assistance while you're out on the course. So there's a cross section. It kind of I don't know, I don't know what you would call it. We kind of
A
like
figure
cross
eight.
over, figure eight. And there's like we call it the crossroads, and so like spectators can go there and kind of watch the
Okay.
race, but you cannot, you can't hand off a bottle. You can't, say, "Hey, I need this when I come in." Like you can't.
Yep.
There's none of that going on. You can't use poles the first 12 hours. You can
Okay.
do that after the first 12-hour intermission. I think those are the biggest things.
Yeah, and talk about the intermission a little bit because that's unique to this race. Like, not all last person standing races have an intermission.
Yeah, so you make it to that 12 hours at 8 o'clock. You get 20 minutes to sleep, to do whatever you want to do, and it's really nice. It could be good. It could be bad, I guess. It kind of like halts your momentum a little bit,
Hmm.
which is what I think kind of happened with me. But it's really nice to just kind of like get out of your wet clothes, put your feet up, and just kind of shut your eyes for a second. The 20 minutes goes fast, but like, oh, thanks for that 20
Yeah.
minutes. But yeah, it's a nice break. You kind of assess yourself, try to eat, do all the things that you need to do.
Yeah, maybe calm the nervous system a little bit too from the constant go, go, go.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you do a lot of research on the race itself and on last person standing races and kind of strategies of what you might have wanted to implement?
Probably not as much as I should have. I watched a lot of podcasts. They had Dirt and Vert. They had Mark and Harvey on there, kind of talking. Kind of watched back podcasts about other people that had done Mid State Mile and what they were doing. So I kind of tried to soak all that in, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
how could I fit that into like my style of racing? So I tried, but it's always you never know until you're out there and what works for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That experience itself, there's nothing else that can teach you as much as being in the race itself. Before race day, I saw you had a post about recovering from the Dam Yeti 50 miler and kind of planning for mid state and going into the race without expectations. How did you handle that week with the unknowns of what was to come and with the new to you format?
I had a lot of anxiety, especially because I've not really done any kind of like climbing races this year yet. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
them have been fast and flat. So that kind of made me a little nervous. But, everyday training runs, though, I have quite a bit of like quite a few hills that I run every day. So, like, I'm not scared of climbing at all. But I definitely had some why I kind of went in with no expectations, but I had goals in the back of my mind. Like, the biggest one was like, can I get to that 12 hours?
Mhm.
That was goal A, I guess. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go out there, have fun, like experience.
Yeah. So you have 20 minutes to complete a loop. What was your pacing strategy? Did you have a pacing strategy? Did you kind of practice it beforehand? Like, where were you when approaching the race?
Yeah, so my pacing strategy was probably very different than everyone that has ran this race before. And I heard comments, people told me like you need to chill out a little bit. So I come from the speed world, and it's very hard for me. Like I find it harder for me to run and kind of like hold myself back a little bit. So what
Hmm.
I thought I was going to do is like I'm going to go into this race and I'm just going to run what's comfortable. I'm going to run by feel. That is how I run. I've always run that way. If it feels good, run it like within reason. I'm not going to go out there and run a 6 minute mile on, like
Yep.
that's unreasonable. Like I know that's going to burn me out within the first hour.
Hmm.
I just kind of took it easy. I paid attention to my heart rate. I didn't, obviously it's going to go up when you're climbing like that.
Yep.
But by the time you get to the top, you can kind of like take a deep breath and like, okay, just chill, like just run easy is kind of like my thought process for the day was like, I'm just going to run easy. I'm going to, not push myself too hard. I wasn't going to look at my watch. I looked at my watch, I think like the first hour. I'm like, okay, like what am I doing? I was coming in like 15-minute miles
Okay.
every lap all day long. Like there's an inside joke, like this family across from me, they're like, well, we know when our runner's coming in, like you're like a stopwatch, you know. Like I was just, that was my easy pace. That was
Hmm.
what felt good. And you know, I think I was in part of like the lead pack. So I would say there's, you know, five to six of us that were always kind of like up in front. So was that too fast? I don't know. Probably everyone would tell me, yes, that's too fast. Like you need to come in at 18. A lot of people were coming in at 18. I didn't see Harvey. I think he was kind of like middle of the pack. He was probably 17, 18. And
Okay.
Mark, I think from what I was told, like he was, you know, 19,
Yeah.
1930, like he was very like last in the back of the pack. So like
Hmm.
I think everyone, you clearly see like what strategy, you know, what they were doing.
Yeah.
Um I should have hung back, you know, a few just to like, you know, kind of feel how that felt, but I think I had some anxiety about like, am I going to have enough time?
Yeah.
You know, I had never like, I don't like being rushed. And so, but I also don't like sitting around. I'm used to just, you know, straight, you know, 50 miles, like not
Yep.
stopping every 20 minutes is very strange.
Right.
So, you know, the first couple hours just kind of like tested it out. I'm like, this is just what feels good. And so, that's what I did.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and it can be tricky, right? Because the faster the runner you are, if you try to slow down, you're running too much, it can be inefficient. Like it can get to the point where it doesn't feel good. So it's trying to find that balance of like, okay, what feels good for me, and you have this very large zone of what is actually an easy pace. So just trying to figure out like what's gonna work for me.
Yeah.
Were you walking at all within that mile?
Yeah. So
Okay.
obviously the uphills definitely like I tried to take it easy. And then the downhills, I didn't go like,
You
you
didn't
know,
bomb it.
straight down. No, I did not bomb it. I took it easy on those. Like my strategy has always been going downhill is like I kind of go tip to the side a little bit. I run kind of down the side. I'd never go straight down on my quads. Like I did
Hmm.
not want to like put that beating on them, especially
Yeah.
that early. So that was kind of like my little strategy. So um I don't know.
Yeah.
It worked well. It worked well for 12 hours. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
So at 12 hours, then what happened? Like, was it kind of that intermission that you started to stiffen up, or like,
I
how were
think
you feeling?
so. I think that's when like I started getting tired. So I am not a night person. Like 9 o'clock rolls around, I'm ready for bed.
Yep.
I get up at 4 a.m. every day. So my day starts early. So I think like just kind of knowing like, okay, like my body was like, what are you doing? Like, let's get ready for bed, you know? And so I think that's when it kind of like settled in. Like I sat laying there and I'm like, okay, now is when the real race starts. And that's what I
Hmm.
knew. Like I knew like the first 12 hours, like I could do that. I've done several 12-hour races. I've done a 24-hour race. So I knew what those felt like. Um, so this was definitely that intermission kind of, it slowed my, like I was feeling great up until that point. And I still felt good leaving intermission. But I did notice like that first time, like that whistle blew and we all went out. I'm like, whoa, why is everyone running faster? Like it felt like everyone was like, where did everyone get this energy? And
Hmm.
I think that was just me like starting to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So which I knew it was going to come eventually.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And you learn so much about the format, right? And like what you would want to do differently next time or what you would want to tweak. You just don't know until you've actually done it.
right. Yeah. I mean, I was happy with myself. I'm like, I can't believe I made it to 12 hours. Like,
Yes.
this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I felt so accomplished, you know? And so I knew, like, you know, anything that happened after that, like, you know, obviously I wanted to go as far as I could, but,
Hmm.
you know, goal
Yeah.
A was hit. So I was happy.
Yeah. So you hit that 12 hour, you hit that first goal. Where did your goals go after that? Did you set a benchmark of 18 hours or like where was your brain there?
I think, like, my next goal would be, like, you know, it'd be pretty great to hit sunrise. Like, I would love to see the sunrise in those trees.
Hmm.
and hit that 24-hour. Like in my mind going into this race, like I prepared myself for 24 hours, like made sure I had everything that I needed for 24 hours because I knew what that felt like.
Yeah.
But I knew like between midnight and 3 o'clock or like kind of my weak spot. I know those are the hard miles. And so, yeah, I just take it one loop at a time
Yeah.
is the strategy, and just try to keep up with everyone now. I'm like, oh, you guys are running with me now. Kind of made me a little, I talked to my coach about this, and she's like, you're not used to this format. And, because you were running, ahead, you had 5 minutes every loop, you start getting a little slower, and that kind of gets your heart rate up. You're kind of like panicky a little bit. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I felt, I typically train by myself. I run by myself all the time. And so like being around people too, I think kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety too. So I think that played a part.
Yeah. Well, and especially since you kind of are rushed. Like, depending on when people are coming in, everyone is trying to do what they need to do within 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Yeah. And that, I imagine, gets very hectic.
Yeah.
Did you have a crew helping you?
I did. My husband was there, but then I had a teammate, Sarah Baker. She helped me. She has a lot of KTs on the Appalachian. Like she'll go out for months, and so she's very knowledgeable. She's also has like some massage therapy training. So I was like, yes, please. Like she saved me throughout the day a couple times. So she was really great. Like she kept track of everything, as far as, caffeine, salt tabs, water. Like she was very on it. She kept cold towels on me as soon as I hit that chair. She was fantastic. I couldn't have done it without her. She did my thinking for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And it seems like crew is even more important for this race specifically, since you have even less time in between each yard or each loop.
Yeah. We had some teammates that were kind of their crewless, and like we all tried to help, but I remember at one point, it was Kyle Calbus. He's also does a lot of last man standing events. Like he's won some. So like I was like, wow, he's gonna do great here. It was his first time as well, but I remember him like it was after intermission. It was dark, and he's like, I don't know what to think. He just like kind of sat in his chair. He's like, and like he was completely out of it. So that's where it's helpful to have someone to step in and just, here, eat this, do this.
Absolutely. Did you have a specific nutrition strategy going in, and did it differ from a traditional ultra?
Yeah. So fueling is my weak point. I've had some issues with it in the past. I've had rhabdo before. I've had to try to dig myself out of rhabdo during races. So kind of hydration was like a big thing for me. And so I carried a water bottle with me. That was something different that a lot of people don't necessarily carry anything with them on the loops. I did. A lot of people like, oh, you got plenty of time to drink and eat when you come back in. But for me, like I like to have something handy. If I want it, like I want to have it on me. I drink to thirst. And so I was drinking most of my water bottle every lap.
Okay.
I think it worked really well. I had salt tabs every hour, tried to stay on top of that. For me, like I found electrolyte drinks don't mix well in my stomach. They kind of upset my stomach. So this was the first race that I actually just did straight salt tabs, and it worked really well. My stomach was calm all day, so I was
awesome.
Happy. I was drinking well, I was peeing, so I was like, that is all blessed. I didn't see blood. So I was like, this is a good day. So that went really well. Carrying the bottle was a good thing. And feeling wise, I started immediately eating every lap, just something small. I had like this big candy tray. I just put all the sorts of candies and gummies in there. And so like I would just, pick what looked good every lap, just a few gummy bears or, something like that. And I did gels, I would do one gel every hour, but it worked well.
Good, good.
So surprisingly, I tend to puke. Um, I'm a puker. But again, that's like the faster you go, the more that your stomach has got to work. And
Yeah.
so I think that's why I felt good those first 12 hours is I wasn't running as fast. I was
Hmm.
kind of taking it easier. And so the stomach was digesting a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a little bit about the community aspect of a last person standing race and what was the feel at mid-state, either before or during the race? Because looks like there's a lot of people there.
There's there's a ton of people. First thoughts was like, oh my gosh, this is like a huge family. Like everyone knew everyone. I felt like, and there's people that have done this race from the start, have been there.
Hmm.
This is like their sixth or seventh year. So it's a family. You really get to know somebody when you're putting in those miles like that. Like this is a race that you don't run from the start and you're off. Like typically I always find myself like I'm always by myself. I don't know how it happens. There could be 1,000 people there, but the Boston Marathon is probably like one of the few that I was running with people. And so it was really you're always with somebody and
Hmm.
you're having those conversations while you're hiking. You're not, shooting off. So you really get to know people and how they're feeling, and you know, it it's really it was pretty cool to kind of witness.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely was glad to be a part of it. I wish I would have. I think like my biggest thing when I do this next year is like kind of hanging back a little bit and getting to know more people, talking to more people. I kind of probably talk to the same people every loop,
Hmm.
So kind of making my way down and back up again, and getting to know more of the people
Yeah,
around me.
yeah. Well, and I'm sure so much of your focus this year was trying to figure the format out and like, what am I actually doing and what is best for me?
Yeah.
And now you have that knowledge. So next year you can be a little more relaxed with just chatting with a lot more people.
Hmm. Yep.
Was there a point during the race where it stopped feeling physical and became more mental, or was it the reverse for you?
Yeah. So physically, like I felt great. I did have like a IT band early on in the day. I don't know if that's probably the downhill. I mean, like that's something, that's an issue that I've had before, but I was able to work through that. Physically, I felt great. Like, I think it started to get mental after intermission. So when your body starts to get tired, your brain that gives your brain permission to kind of, oh, you're tired, huh?
Yeah.
And then the doubts and things start coming in, and so I think I wasn't paying attention to the time. It was probably midnight-ish. I think is when like I started um, really feeling it, and so like that like darkness kind of like creeping in. I would like to say that I was prepared for it, but you never know like when it's gonna hit, I guess.
Yeah.
And so th it started to get dark, I guess, like when I started thinking about ways like you could quit now, like started thinking about different ways I could quit and time out of this race. And
Hmm.
that's when I started to feel physically like, oh, my legs are hurting. Like, what can I blame this race on? What can I
Yeah.
blame, you know? So that's when it gets tricky.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
how did you work through some of those thoughts of like, no, I don't need to look for an out. I can continue pushing on because you have a very high threshold, right? Like your ability to push hard for a
Yeah.
long time is there from your race experience. So like, where did your mind go to try to get out of those thoughts?
I think the biggest thing for me, I like to think about like my son and like um, try to think happy thoughts, try to get that positivity back.
Hmm.
It can be hard, I think about, oh, I'm sure he's sleeping right now. Just try to think, funny things that he's done and just try to get my mind off some other things. I think for a while it got dark and the little toads came out. So that was entertaining and they were the bullfrogs in the pond, like they were making a bunch of noise. So that like helped early on into the night. Like that was kind of fun to watch. Like, find the frogs, don't step on them. And Everyone was talking about them. So that was kind of, you know, kept your mind off of it. And then they kind of like went away. It just got quiet. And so now like, okay, what am I going to focus on now? And um, yeah, it was, I don't know what else I thought about, but as I got tired, I started not eating. So that's another part. Like when your mind, when your body is down calories, that's when the dark thoughts also sneak their way in. I started like refusing food. That's my biggest thing is like I get tired of eating. I don't like to eat. I don't like to chew. And you know, I had liquid carbs on me and I didn't even think to get them out. Like that probably would have saved me there for a few loops. I thought, oh, I'll eat next time. I'll eat next time. And before you know it, you're down, you know, it's been an hour and you've only had 100 calories. And so, yeah, I got weaker and weaker. And so I started falling farther and farther back. I finally saw Harvey. I was like, I had a little conversation with him about the Flying Pig Marathon. Like, you know, that's his marathon. I missed him by a few minutes one year. But you know, he was really sweet. So I kind of like focused on him for a lap. But yeah, I started paying attention to all my aches and pains and I got slower and slower. My stomach started getting nauseous. I was really struggling. I think I wanted to quit for a couple hours and Sarah was like, no, you're not quitting in this chair. And I just kept thinking about that. It's like tomorrow, like I can't face the thought of like I quit. Like I don't I've never had a DNF, knock on wood. Like I'm not a quitter. Like I just kept telling myself I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. And it got me through a few laps.
Yeah, a few. So so you ran, I saw your Strava, it was 59.5 miles, almost 20,000 feet of vert. That's crazy.
Wow.
How many loops was that?
I don't know.
Loops or hours? How many hours was it?
It was like, it was about 19, I believe.
Okay.
18, 19.
Okay.
I think it was about 2:30 in the morning.
Okay. So did you time out or did you ultimately say, I'm not going out for the next one? Where were you at the end?
Yeah. So my last loop, I went out, like I knew I was going to puke. I knew it was coming. I've been here so many times before, like I knew it was coming. And so I made it up I was feeling weak at that point. And I made it up the first, you know, big climb and got up to the top. It was my favorite section. It was up to the flat, and sure enough, like I puked straight bile, so I had nothing in me. But that minute that I stopped, you know, the runners kept running, and it got dark really quick. Like yeah, it was really hard. It just like hit me all of a sudden, like I'm not gonna be able to. There's no way I'm gonna be able to catch up. And so like yeah, it hurt. It was like cramping my stomach. Like I couldn't move. And so I tried to go as fast as I could down the hill. Like I still saw a couple headlamps in front of me. I'm like, maybe I can catch them. I got to the bottom of the second hill and they were just about to the top. I'm like, I don't think I can catch them. And I didn't have the strength at that point to make it in on time. Like by the time I got back in, they had already taken off. So I don't know how many minutes, a couple minutes maybe.
Yeah, but you left it all out there. It can get really dark when you're all alone, when there are less runners out there and you know that you're falling behind. Like your mind can get very dark very fast. There's no other lights around. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing out here? Can I make up the time? So yeah, I give you a lot of credit for staying out there and continuing to go out lap after lap after lap for hours after you had those thoughts of how can I make this end?
Yeah, it happened so fast. Like it just thinking about it just blows my mind. Like it just that darkness, that the headlamps were gone and like the darkness like settled in. Like it's such a dark place. Like I can't, you know, I've run 100-miler before and like I struggled those last 15. Like I know that darkness, but this was like, it was such a disappointing darkness. Like it was kind of unexpected, I guess, like for it to
Yeah.
happen that fast.
Yeah.
20
And
minutes goes fast. I mean, that was the first
right.
time I realized, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't hear voices. Like it was eerie. It was very eerie.
Hmm.
But yeah.
So, do you think some of that darkness comes from the format itself? Because typically you are around others versus, in a 100 miler, you can be running by yourself, right? And then come up behind a runner and pass them. And yeah, you are 85, 90 miles into the race, but there's also an end in sight
Mhm.
versus like you are in this format chasing that Grim Reaper who is keeping your time for the course.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Absolutely. It was very strange.
They were talking about Mark being the Grim Reaper on the course because he was pretty far back. So if you got passed by him, you were probably in trouble and not going to complete it.
Must have been him. I don't know. Someone said, "Oh man," when I was
Oh
puking. It's
no.
like, she out. I
So, what surprised you most about yourself with this format, with this race?
think the biggest thing that surprised me was like how well my body held up. Like I really was going into this race thinking that this is going to break my body. Like
Hmm.
I have never done that much elevation before.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is really going to bust me up quite a bit. But like I was very surprised by how like durable and strong that I felt through the entire race. I mean, I had more to give. Like I really
That's
did.
awesome. Yeah.
If I would have had calories, I think I could have done 24 hours. I really do. Like I still felt strong. I was weak, but I was strong.
Hmm.
So just that was the confidence I needed. I feel like I've not been running as many miles as I typically do. And so like I was having doubts about my fitness. I really
Yeah.
was. And so this kind of like gave me that confidence. Like you are in shape. Like your body can do some really dang hard things.
Hmm.
I've never done that much elevation in my life, like ever. Maybe over a course of a year, we do, a few hundred. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot. And so like I was just kind of pleasantly surprised. So it gives me a little bit more positivity about myself, about my body, like going into
Absolutely.
these future races later this year. So
Yeah, yeah. So before we talk about what you have planned for the rest of the year, you've already mentioned that you're going to do mid-state again next year.
yeah.
What are you going to change? Like, are you specifically going to train for mid-state this year? Are you going to work it into your training for another race? What are you thinking?
I I feel like I was trained for it, but I didn't really do a whole lot of trail climbing in going into this race. But I would definitely want to probably do that. Like I have 3 more 100 milers between now and next year's mid-state. So
Okay.
in my mind, I think like the mental toughness part, that darkness is
Yeah.
where my growth needs to happen.
Yeah.
And those 3 100s are going to push me farther
Yeah.
um, into that growth. And I think mentally, like I'll be able to hopefully push past that, hopefully get my fueling down. Like, what is the plan when I don't want to eat? What is the plan?
Hmm.
And I think those two things are really going to help.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I know what to expect now too. So like hopefully some of that anxiety is gone. I can
Hmm.
kind of loosen up and have a little bit more fun. Um, I think that might help me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the 3 100s that you have between now and next year's mid-state?
So I'm doing Yeti 100. That's
Okay.
on the Virginia Creeper Trail. That's in October. That's a rails to trails, flat and fast.
Fast,
I'm
yes.
hoping for a fast 100 there. So that's kind of like my biggest A race the rest of the year. And then I'm doing Lawn Haul 100 in January. That's in Florida. And then Sedona Canyons. I
Yes.
got into that. That was
Awesome.
yeah.
That was a day.
I was sweating doing that. The Sedona Canyons 125, first week of May. So I saw the Cocodona. Dylan was out there.
Yeah.
Gosh, what's our other teammate name? We had one other teammate out there and they were doing it. I saw the pictures. I'm like, oh my God, I have got to go out there and
It's
see
gorgeous.
this. Like, so I'll just take a little taste of it. There's no way. I don't think I'll ever do 250. I don't foresee that, but never say never, I guess, at this point. But so I think that would be really fun.
Yeah. So you'll get a lot of good fueling practice in, and then just kind of working through that low and developing confidence that you can continue to work through that too.
Yeah. Yep.
So if someone is considering mid-state in a future year, what advice do you have for them?
I would say, just do it. Just try it. Like it's not going to hurt you. There's nothing bad that's going to happen if you do run one lap. Like that's one more lap than anyone else, did. Just getting out there and just getting a taste of it and seeing what it's about. You might surprise yourself. Like you really, even if you're a road runner, like just try it out. You might like it. It can be very intimidating, the murder mile, sometimes those are the funnest things. And, it's going to give you confidence. It's going to challenge you. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. That could be the worst case scenario. You don't come back and do it again. I would just do it. I get those things like, you just sign up, just do it, just try it. You have to do that every once in a while, I think it's something to experience. It definitely.
Yeah. I love that advice of trying it, and what's the worst that could happen? You don't like it and you don't come back next year.
Right. You're only a mile away. It's not like you're out, 100 miles away from civilization. Like,
that is so true.
You'll be okay. Like I didn't see any bears. I didn't see snakes.
Yeah.
Be okay.
So, do you have poisonous snakes?
We do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Copperheads, I think, are the big ones.
Okay.
They said they're out there, but I think we made enough noise that probably scared them away. But
is there anything else that you want to add before we kind of get to the last part of the podcast?
I think so.
Okay.
Just do it. Just try it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question that I've been asking our ultra runners is, if you thought about your first experience at mid-state and you think about ultra running and you think about your experience at mid-state and the growth that has come from doing something uncomfortable, what has that taught you about yourself to get comfortable with being uncomfortable? Because I've seen you talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I think it falls into every aspect of your life. It's not just on the race course. I think it makes you a tougher person, like in general. Life is very hard and everyone's going through something, and it can be a variety of different things, but I think it gives you kind of that toughness to like know that like there's gonna be an ending eventually. It gives your self-confidence too, that like you can do hard things, like you can get through it. It's just one more mile. It's just, it's one more loop. Like you kind of like break it down. It helps you really like break things down into small chunks.
I love that. I love that. Audrey, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for sharing all that you had learned at Mid-State Mile. For those who are wanting to follow along, what's the best way to follow your journey?
Yeah, so Instagram, East Tennessee Mother Runner, East TN Mother Runner. You can watch my journey and all that. So yeah.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes so everyone can follow you. But thank you again. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering, like, do I belong in a last person standing race? Should I do Mid-State Mile in an upcoming year? Let this be your reminder to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth really happens. So until next time, just go one more hour, one more loop, or even one more step. Thanks for tuning in to One More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard, and share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going one more. Connect with me on Instagram at the One More Hour Podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go one more hour.